Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another segment of A Woman's Voice Matters HERVERSATION. It is the Mondays that we designate to sharing impactful stories. I am your host for this afternoon, Diahann Smith, Legacy Makers, Saturdays. I am also the proud member of AWV Matters Dream Team. Today, I wanted to take a moment to talk about two things that I think are pivotal to building a strong legacy. Number one, identity. And number two, the foundation that we build must be sure. Right now, 2020 is yielding so much evidence of those who were not ready when volatility hit our nation. And so I wanted to share with one who has been winning largely in the midst of volatile days, and it is the practices, the beliefs, and the principles that she has applied in her daily life. So I want to go back and look at the actual journey that brought her to where she is now. So often we see the success, but we don't see the story. So today we're kind of peeling back the layers and gleaning from our guest. Who is Angela Macon? She is a triple threat. She is a retirement planning advisor for the District of Columbia. She is also a two-time entrepreneur. Can we say that again? A two-time entrepreneur. She is the owner of Beautifly, a full-scale makeup services organization. And she is also a tax preparer. She has her own tax preparing services. And so I am so honored to have her as my guest today. And I just want to jump in and give you a bird's eye view into the process and the person behind the building of a legacy. So with that, welcome, Ms. Angela.
Thank you. I am so honored and happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, I commend you for choosing to share your story. So let's jump right in. So first and foremost, tell us a little bit about your journey. How is it that you are not only in beauty, but finance as far as your business focus? What started you in that road of entrepreneurship? And when did you know that these two business ideas were actually lucrative?
Always worked in finance or the accounting field in the financial industry. However, in accounting, you're pretty much crunching numbers, and I love numbers, but I had no interaction with people, and I'm a people person. So after working for several big corporations in the accounting departments as staff accountants, corporate staff accountant, I realized that I wanted to transfer over into the finance field. So I went over into the finance field, but how did I get into taxes is a whole nother story. That is a hilarious story you got to hear. I got into taxes because I owed them. And the IRS confiscated my ATM card and put a lien on my checking account. That's how I got there. So I used to let my grandmother do my taxes, and I remember I owed one time, and next thing you know, I never saw my refunds anymore. I don't know what was happening. I was like, how do I owe taxes? I don't have any children. I don't have anything to claim. I was still young. And next thing you know, I was like, well, my expenses were outweighing my income. So I said, well, let me work part-time for Jackson Hewitt. So I decided to work for Jackson Hewitt. And when they finished training me, they said, well, we're going to pay you $4 an hour. And we'll give you a bonus at the end of tax season. I said, $4 an hour? That's $16. That's a waste of time. Nevertheless, I started working for a CPA. I was doing a lot of data entry, but I was around learning from her. And then I remember talking to a good buddy of mine named Mark Spence. I'll never forget this. He said, I got a buddy that makes $250,000 every tax season. I said, I want to work for him. That's who I want to work for. He gave me his number. I called the guy and I asked him, said, hey, can I work for you? Can I file papers, answer the phone or something? Can I just work and do some apprenticeship for free under you? I was just willing to do whatever. He said to me, why don't you start your own? You would have thought that he asked me a question that was in there. I was like, no, me? I was so afraid when he asked me that. I was like, fear set in instantly. Like, I can't do that. I don't have what it takes. No. But he said it to me really simply. He said, go get your software, ask a few friends and family, can you do their taxes, and get started. Everything you need to know is on the IRS website. Trembling, I took his advice, because evidently he wasn't going to let me answer his phone. So I took his advice. And that year in 2005, I came up with the name of Macon Associates, and I put a hot pink flyer on every apartment building in Stanton Glen in Southeast DC. And I asked, hey, tax preparation services. I got 5 clients that year. I got 5 clients, but that was the best 5 clients. I was just happy somebody wanted me and trusted me to do their taxes, because taxes is a position of trust, you know. And so as I learned, each time I would do a return, I would learn more, because it would say, refer to publication 535, refer to publication 772. Whatever the publication was, I would read it, I would highlight it, and I would try to understand it. And before you know, the 5 clients turned into 16, 16 turned into 23, 23 turned into 40, 40 turned into 52. And then next thing you know, here 15 years later in the tax business, over 250 clients. So I'm so grateful for the growth, but it was a process. You know, a lot of times, whereas I didn't know, or I felt like I didn't do it right. Whereas I had to continue to build upon my knowledge and become more certified, more official, going to the IRS tax forms, and so on and so forth. But that's how I got started with taxes. That's one thing. But the story with makeup is a totally another story. I'll never forget, I used to play around in makeup, and I thought it was cute to match your color of your your eyeshadow with your clothes. So if I had on lime green, I would wear lime green eyeshadow.
Oh, I'd love to see those pictures.
Oh my goodness, ooh, it was ugly. I had no clue what I was doing, but I was just playing with it. But somebody asked me a question. They asked me this very pivotal question. What do you do to express your creative side or for fun? And I was like, I realized that I was so busy into numbers and taxes that I literally had no creative side. And with the personality I have, it was surprising that I didn't do anything for fun. Like, I'm a fun rah-rah girl. Like, why don't I have anything for fun? And so I remember someone say, hey, you know, can you come do my makeup for my daughter's birthday? I was like, me? Sure. The whole kit and caboodle. And I was starting to get asked questions to come and do makeup at the Crystal Couture fashion show. Sure. You know, come do makeup at God's Glamorous Girl. Sure. Come do makeup here and there. And before you know it, it was like I was starting to get asked to come do makeup. But what was very pivotal is the fact that I took $700 and I caught the mega bus to the makeup show in New York. And when I came back, I felt like I had bought all this makeup that I didn't know what I was doing with it. And so when I came back, I started taking classes with some of the people in the industry. I took a class with Lauren Nicely, with Kim Lee, Letitia Thornhill, Nika Hudson, Pinkaboo. All of these ladies in the DMV area are already established makeup artists, and I asked for one-on-one class. And I was taking a class with them. But when I realized that it was a pivotal business, a market for the business, and when I realized that, or I recognized that I can actually make this a business, is the moment that Jackie Hicks said, let me see you do her eyebrows. Matter of fact, meet me at the studio and come and do some makeup, and let me see what your makeup look like. And I was like, Jackie Hicks wants me to do makeup in her studios? Then I remember Kim Lee asked me to come and help her, assist her at Fox 5. And I'll never forget. It was like, I was like, oh my goodness, it's Fox 5. I watch them every morning. I'm here. I'm like, okay. She said, put some lashes on Maureen. I put lashes on Maureen. And before you know it, Diane, the production staff said, okay, everybody come upstairs. And they said in 3, 2, 1. And we're live. And here, and they had, introduce yourself. And I'm like, Angela, like, Like, I'm here. Like, wow, when did this happen? But the fact is that I never thought that either one of those would be my business that would be sustainable and that I would excel in them. But they all started with a question.
Wow.
Why you won't do your own, and what do you do for your creative side? And just capitalizing in each year of failing, making mistakes, learning, growing, and always trying to make it better. Each year, I'm always evaluating to see how I can grow the business better. Because what I do believe is that there's a market for beauty and business, beauty and finance, should I say. There is not just the market, but they go together. Some people may think they don't, but they do, because there's nothing worse to look beautiful and be broke.
Come on now, say that again.
There's nothing beautiful about being beautiful and broke. No. I have a passion and a desire to help educate and help people understand not just taxes, but investments, and understand how finance and beauty go together, so that, you know, while you're looking beautiful, you can secure the bag and secure your financial future. And I think that's the most beautiful thing ever.
That's awesome. You said two things that stood out to me. Number one is Fantasia has this song that says, sometimes you have to lose to win. And who would have ever thought a tax lien would have been the foundation for you to even give consideration to it being a business?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And look, someone just simply asking you, what do you do in your leisure time? Thinking about the fact that, hey, I actually like makeup.
Yeah.
And now they are two thriving businesses.
Yes.
Can we say start somewhere?
Start somewhere. Start. Now, how about this? Start. Just start. That's it. Start. Trembling in awe. Start. And then, start.
You say trembling and all. What did you have to conquer to get to the point of where you're now able to thrive consistently without it feeling like, oh, it was just a whim, or I stumbled into success, but now I have figured out what works for me and I'm striding and riding in it?
That is such a great question, Diane. And it's true. There were some things that I had to conquer personally in order for my businesses to grow. And one of the things I had to conquer was my fear. My fear. That I told you, I was afraid when the guy asked me to start my own. I was afraid. But I had to move in spite of my fears. I had to move in spite of my inadequacies of what I thought, because I was my own enemy, saying that I couldn't and what I could not do, and forgetting that with God all things are possible. I wasn't even including God in the equation at that time. I was still young. I didn't know. But I knew that my perspective on myself had to change, because if I continue to see myself as the scared little girl, if I continue to see myself as not good enough, if I continue to see myself as not good compared to them, or not, if I continue to just look at the abandonment from not being loved or loved enough, I would say, from my father that abandoned me when I was a child, if I held on to those things, if I held on to all the unforgiveness, if I held on to all of the hurts and disappointments, you have to let all of that go, because it's like weight. It's spiritual weight. And you can't thrive when your heart is muddy and you got spiritual weight on you. So I had to conquer those things, and in doing so, that means really taking a good look inside, really searching my heart and my heart and my soul for the things that would stop me from moving forward. So but the most important one of all was I had to conquer that I'm enough. I had to conquer that. That one right there, because a lot of everything stemmed from the not feeling like I was enough. The abandonment from my father. I didn't think I was enough for him to stay. You know, I didn't think enough that I was enough because this one left me or that one left me, you know. And I had to think that I had to do everything perfect in order to be successful, in order to get it right. And that, I had to let that go because I'm perfectly imperfect. I'm never going to get it always right. So that was the beauty of releasing myself from that. It's just, I realized that I'm perfectly imperfect, but I am enough. I'm enough. That was the hit. To get to that place to know that I'm enough.
Look, say it again for the one who feels like I don't have enough.
I am enough. Repeat after me. Somebody who you would not believe the start and where I came from. I am enough. Yeah, it felt good.
You're looking good too.
Thank you.
So what is fundamentally required in your personal life before you could even start considering entrepreneurship?
Whew. There's something very, very important when you're considering entrepreneurship. Sacrifice. You're going to end up sacrificing a lot. I work a lot of long days, a lot of long nights. 9 to 5, I have my 9 to 5, but beyond that, I had to sacrifice not being able to do some of the things that I want to do, like just go scroll the mall or go hang out here or there. Today I'm able to now, but while I was building, I had to put the work in. It's not a 9 to 5. You have to sacrifice a lot because you're not just the person who's doing the work. You're the marketing, you're the advertising, you're the secretary, you're the receptionist, you're everything. And so if you want your business to be successful, you have to sacrifice to make these things happen. Because sometimes you starting out your business, you may not have the resources to pay somebody else a third-party service to answer your phones for you. You're going to have to be your face of your business. And so building it required some sacrifice. The other thing is that I had to get outside of my comfort zone. See, there's certain places or certain things that I'm just like, nah, I'm good. No. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to get outside your comfortable zone, out of your comfort zone. I never forget, Steve Harvey said, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so that was something else personally I had to overcome. And lastly, I think it's very, very, very critical that you find mentors. I have a mentor for every aspect of my life. And I'm serious about it. I have so many people who are my hitters that are able to pour into me and to help me. I mean, and even if they are not necessarily a mentor for my tax practice, so I have a CPA that's a mentor. I have a group of women that I collaborate with. I have a CFP mentor. I have, a spiritual mentor, life coach. I have, my inspirational mentor. I have people in my life that helps to build me, whether it's my inner man or just the knowledge that I'm trying. I have a makeup mentor, makeup sisters, but I also know that I have to have people in my circle, which is a very small circle, that will help me through the tough times too. So in my personal life, they matter, even when it comes to my business, because sometimes you just need that good girlfriend to say, come on, let's ride to Home Goods. Come on, girl, let's go get something to eat. The one to just make you laugh. So, I just think that in your personal life that there's some things you have to conquer, but then there's also some things that is important to bring into your business, meaning those mentors, those life coaches, because who you are is what you project, and what you project is what you reflect of your business. So if I want to represent my business and my brand, I gotta be right. And I need all of that.
That is so good because nobody becomes alone.
Nope, it's not a do it yourself.
One of the interesting observations I've been making from 2020 is the fact that we are being forced to appreciate what we never did before.
Yes.
Connection.
And
yes. In crises, who you're connected to will either make or break you.
Come on now. Yes, indeed.
And you're clearly connected to those who understand the power of connection.
It is so true. You know, I'll never forget. Will Smith said this, and I'm telling you, it's stuck in my mind like glue. He said, you hang around 9 people that ain't doing nothing, guess what? You're going to be number 10. So, yeah, it's important who you're connected to, because true friends will never try to take advantage or exploit your business. True friends will understand that what you're doing or what you're trying to do, and won't think that or you think you better than, or you don't got time, or this and this and that. They understand. So, yeah, that circle thing is very important. Very important.
That is so true. And then what are 3 non-negotiables? Habits that you live by on a daily basis that you feel have been instrumental to the consistency of your success?
One of my daily habits that I think is it is a non-negotiable. I have to connect with God daily. And I do that by, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is say thank you.
Hallelujah.
Just thank you. I open my eyes today. Thank you. Now, from that point, I'm looking to find something to feed my soul. I'm looking for scripture. I'm looking for, a word. I'm online looking for the Bible, going through my Bible app to find the scripture to just hold on into my heart. And then the next thing that I have been doing is also meditating, because I spend so much time talking that I wasn't spending enough time to listen for guidance. Because if I'm quiet, then I think the Holy Spirit can come in and speak to me and guide me. And I can hear that discerning voice that say, no, don't do that. Do this today. Don't do that. So my spiritual connection is a non-negotiable daily habit. I have to connect with God and something spiritual to start my day off.
Very good.
Yeah. The other thing that is very non-negotiable is taking care of self. So many times that I was so busy and going and I was saying yes, 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 because I was afraid. Guess what I was afraid of?
What?
Missing an opportunity. I said yes to everything. Everywhere. Yes, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. And I found myself burnt out. I found myself not taking care of myself. So self-care is so important to me now. I mean, aside from just saying no, because all money ain't good money. Every client ain't my client, and I had to get to a place of understanding that everybody's not for me. And I'm good with that. I thank God for who he sends to me. Who's for me and what's for me is for me. And I'm good with that. And so one of the things that I had to make sure is that when it comes to self-care, that I made time for what was important and what made time for myself. Myself, my friends, my family. Now, I don't get to do it all the time, but there are times where I'm able to say, no, I cannot do that because I have this planned with my husband, or I have this planned with my girlfriends, and I stick to my plans because integrity is essential to business. You have to have
Say
integrity.
that again.
Integrity is essential to business. Keep your word. Now, if it's that important to you and your brand is that important to you, your integrity will be the most important thing. If I say I'm going to do something, I show up and I do it. And matter of fact, not just show up, I show up on time and I'm there, front and center, because I represent me. So integrity is very, very important to me.
That is so good. So I want to talk about, right now, as you know, we are in the midst of an ever-evolving norm. We have witnessed so many people having to be caught unprepared in a time of unexpected volatility.
Yes.
What are 5 practical tips that you think anyone, no matter where they find themselves right now, can immediately apply to create a foundation that is not only can withstand storms, but to create a legacy that can withstand trouble?
Okay. to answer that question, first things first is that you need to know what your net worth is. And I don't mean that in a way of being, braggadocious or anything. You need to know where you are, to know where you're going. So when it comes to your finances, you need to know what are your assets and what are your liabilities. Do a personal cash flow statement. Find out what's going out and what's coming in. That's how I knew I needed a part-time job at Jackson Hewitt, because I ain't have enough coming in. That's why I had to get some extra ends come in. But once you realize or know where your finances are, then you can go build from there. Because then you can say, okay, well, hey, I got more going out than I got coming in. Then it's time to look at figuring out a home-based business. Which, by the way, as a tax preparer, I will tell you, until this Tax Cut and Jobs Act is over with in 2023, or unless they come and change it, that is probably one of the main other ways that you can actually take advantage of the new tax benefits. Because the tax benefits work for those who have passive income. It works for those who have home-based businesses, because you no longer can claim it on your Schedule A under miscellaneous because they took it away. So the only way that you could possibly claim it is under a Schedule C. And that's if you start a home-based business. So that, I would say, if you find yourself where your income is less than your expenses, just find a side hustle or something to do to bring in additional income. Next thing I want to talk about is the emergency fund. Your 401k is not your emergency fund.
Say that again.
Your 401k not your emergency fund. That's not what it's there for. You need to save that money. Save that money, because anytime you take money out of your 401k, you've taken time out of the market. If you've taken time out of the market, then you've missed out on opportunities of capital gains. So you don't want to mess with that money, because your 72-year-old self, when it's time to get that prescription, you're going to be mad because you ain't got enough in your retirement account. But that's another story. So my point is that the emergency fund is one that you set aside money into a savings account for whenever an emergency occurs, and you won't have to go into your 401k. But if that's all you have, then yeah, that's where you have to start at. But when you recognize that's all you have, it's time to really start looking at what other ways that you can bring in money to build that up. The next thing I would say is that when it comes to paying your debt off, that is so critical, because for me, one of the things that I was always doing was making sure that I paid my bills, and I paid them before they were due. And I paid them for more. Now, there have been times, don't get me wrong, this process is, there have been times I did not have enough. I may have had the minimum $20, or the minimum that they asked for, the minimum due $25. Well, I would send them 30, and I would send it to them days before it was due. And just doing small things like that will really make a huge difference. Another thing that I would suggest is that you really take a look. If your 401k plan offers Roth 401k, if that is not nothing, take advantage of it. That is something that I think is the most amazing thing. And let me explain why real quick. If you have a 401k and they are offering Roth after tax sources, if you keep that money for 5 years and you're over 59 and a half, do you know that money comes out tax-free? A lot of people don't realize that when they look at their retirement account, they're not looking at the fact that no, it's pre-tax money. So when you go to retire and you go to take money out, they're going to take out federal and state taxes when you're now on a fixed income. With a Roth 401k, you may not see the benefit up front because it's after tax dollars. But when you go to retire and you say, I want to take out $5,000, you're going to get $5,000. You're not going to have to pay taxes on, because you've already paid taxes. So I think any kind of after-tax 401k, take advantage of that, because people look at Roth and say, okay, there's a Roth IRA, but then there's a Roth 401k. And that's a whole nother story to get into. But I'm trying to Just keep it focused. The next thing is that I would say that it's very critical that you monitor your 401k. You monitor your investments. Look at what's in your investments. A lot of times people get the quarterly statement and they just like toss it to the side. How do you know if your money is really working for you if you're not looking at your quarterly statements? How do you know what your rate of return is if you're not looking at your quarterly statements? How do you know that your investments are losing money if you're not looking at your quarterly statements? That is so critical. So look at that, diversify, rebalance, and really pay attention to, because this is your future.
So true.
And lastly is to make sure that you got protection, that you have the insurance coverage set up in place. Some people are afraid to get life insurance policy and think GoFundMe is the life insurance policy. It's not. You can get burial policies little to nothing just to make sure that your children or your family members don't have to try to scrape up money to properly bury you. I think that's so critical, and that's something that we all can do, is get a simple burial policy if you can't get a full life insurance policy. So that's important. And lastly, did I say lastly already?
That's okay.
Just really lastly, is that you want to make sure that you have some of the simple estate planning documents in place. You want to make sure that you have your durable power of attorney. You want to make sure you have your medical directives. You want to make sure you have your revocable trust. You want to make sure that you are that you have your beneficiaries up to date. Nothing worse than the ex-wife getting the money. If you haven't changed your beneficiary and the ex-wife getting you, that's not a good look. Make sure your beneficiaries are up to date. And lastly, make sure that any account that you have money in, that you have a person named as the transfer or pay on death, so that your friends, your family, your husband, your spouse can actually access your account in the event of your death to use the monies to do what they need to do. So those are my financial tips. I get excited. See, that's my passion. I get excited when we talk about that.
Look, practical, but so often there is shame associated with money, or if we feel a concept is over our head, we just tune out of everything. But start somewhere. There were so many practical things that you have shared that just start with one. Can we start with one?
One.
You had talked about in one of our conversations about making sure that there was someone tied to your bank account, that when you left, that you knew that someone in the family would get that money. It is so crucial. We're living in a time none of us thought we would ever see.
Never.
And as one who have elderly parents, me and my parents have been talking about, what is your wishes? What are the things?
Yes.
Don't just tell me. I need to know where the documents are, things of that nature. Thankfully, they are prepared.
That's
But
it.
2020 is the year that made it that much more crucial for them to have family moments where, okay, let's talk about this.
Let's talk.
If something happens to me, what is your plan? Or if something happened to you unexpectedly,
Yes.
how would you like to be buried?
Come on now, that's good stuff.
We don't have those type of conversations.
It's important.
And it's so essential to building legacy.
Yeah, it is. It really is. What you want to happen? What you want to happen? Say it. Write it. Put it in writing.
One of the themes for 2020, pivot. All of us are being forced to look at life through a different lens.
That's so true.
I watched at the beginning of our COVID pandemic that many of us, by way of force, changed. But now we're watching so many trying to rebuild what hasn't been working. And I think 2020, if anything, has given us a gift of assessing, rebuilding the foundation of our house, that it can withstand storms. But then
true.
also it's giving us the opportunity to look at life in a whole different way.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how has business changed for you now with the changing tides?
That's another great question too, Diane. I wouldn't say business has changed, but I think the way I do business has changed, because people still need to get their taxes done. People still want to have makeup done. So what I do different is that, everyone wants to be safe. I want to be safe, and my clients want to be safe. So with the taxes, I've offered Zoom appointments. That's something I've never done before. So I've done Zoom appointments where, or either pick up and drop off, or they can actually, securely submit their documents, and then we have a phone meeting. Because most of the times when you're dealing with your personal finances, you want to see the person face to face. You want to have that conversation and that connection with your preparer so that you can right then and there. So that has changed, so the way I do business has changed. If I do have a client that does come to the tax office, we're both masked up, we're both 6 feet apart or more, and that we are practicing the social distance and being careful, wearing masks and all of that. And I keep my house sanitized. I make sure that I get testing done. And then on top of that, when it comes to the makeup, if I have a makeup client that comes, I make sure that we're doing everything to practice the social distance as far as when they come in, they take their shoes off at the door, that they're wearing a mask all the way down until they reach the studio. And then once they're in the studio, that we make sure that, I'm masked up, I have face shield, I have all of the things that I would consider the PPE to protect me and my clients, So I think that's the way I've changed to do business. I've also realized that, hey, look, sometimes you have to, like you say, pivot before. So I've offered video tutorials for makeup. That's something else that I haven't done because I didn't do it before because I was so used to saying, hey, maybe we do a one-on-one makeup class or a class, but you can't do that these days. So some people have asked for video tutorials, and that's how business has changed for me.
But what's interesting is you are in 2 industries that are withstanding the test of time.
That's
You've
true.
identified a business idea that's been able to evolve as the tides are changing. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. I challenge those who are just looking to throw away their business because it just appears that what you have left is not working. But I'm challenging you. Look again. Look through a different lens. Sit still, pray, get quiet, because you may just need to reposition to find the lucrative niche for where we are right now. But Angela, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate you just giving us a bird's eye glimpse into the story behind the success. So often we see the highlight reel of girl boss, and we see the Instagram pictures, but we don't see the process, the steps, the work, the things that had to be done to get to the finish line of excellence. How do we find you on social media, and if someone wants to reach out for Beautify services and also tax preparation in your financial umbrella tips?
I'm glad you asked. Well, you could go to my website. You can go to www.taxes2u.com. That's TAXES, the number 2 and the letter U.com. Or you can go to www.beautify2u.com. That's BEAUTIFLY, the number 2, the letter U.com. You can find me on Instagram at Angie Mac, just with the MAC, of Beautifly. Or you can find me on Facebook as Angela Macon. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time once again.
My honor.
I absolutely enjoy chatting with you. We are in a time where conversations have to matter. They have to count,
matter.
because we don't know when we're going to get another one.
That's right.
But I do appreciate your time, and we are bringing this session of Herversation to an end. But it is my hope that we shared something that you can benefit from and that you found the information useful. And we are so looking forward to connecting with you and to continuing the conversation as Herversation returns next Monday. So until then, have a great evening and be blessed.